Well, I started painting in 2019, and of course, I had this idea, this concept that I wanted to approach dealing with subject matter that pertains to slavery. So I had started to develop what I refer to as the Cotton series. Um, and so one of my first pieces was called Hard as Cotton. It was about an older black man, woman, older, elderly, up in age, standing out in the middle of a cotton field. And so it was like, although cotton is deemed as being soft, um, their lives was hard and generationals, you know, generations had a hard life. And so I called it Hard as Cotton. It was soft, it was cushioned for some people, while hard for other people. One of the first pieces that I did. I think the guy that bought that was out of New Orleans. And I wasn't in the business of really selling art because I wanted to build up my portfolio so that when I do my art exhibition, people could see the variety. But that was one of the first pieces I did. Then I did a piece called Cotton Birth that involved an infant being born in this cabin, rundown cabin, in the midst of cotton. And one of the other slave women were permitted to help, or two women, two slave women, were permitted to help with the delivery. And then they had to go back out and continue picking. But it was just that kind of concept. No, and even that slave woman, you don't lay up. You get back to work. And there was another piece I did called Sold, and it was basically a group of slaves who were on a wagon, and this Caucasian male European walks by, and I intentionally white piece of paper, and on the top it had the word soul, and that was the point that I wanted to drive. Soul, period. But eventually, and this 2018, so eventually about the latter part of 2018, I did a piece called Pro Death. Now, keep in mind, I'm a person that's very attentive to the world, you know, that I live in, as well as to myself. And I've been fighting all my life. I mean, sex abuse at the age of 10 in a Christian environment, bullied after that. I've had to be attentive in order to prevent myself from continuously being a victim. But there was one piece that I did was titled Pro Death. And so even back then and beyond, of course, I noticed how the American people were crying out. Um, but it's one thing to protest because there's always been protests, 60s, 70s, 80s, the 90s. I mean, there's always been protests in this nation. But I had this inward intuition that there are certain things that the American people are about to be protesting about, or they will protest about, that they have no idea that they can't see it in the forecast. And that involved the ballot, that involved the Second Amendment, right to bear arms. Those specific, because there have been issues with freedom of speech. Although there have been gun laws to crack down, um, not to the degree that people actually feel like, you know what, they're really coming for your weapons. And they are. There's no way that this Trump administration is going to remain in office for the remainder of 12, 13, 14 years, whatever. And two so-called attempts on his life, and they not come for those militaries, it's going to happen. And so most Americans, they deal with what they can see and what they can hear. And when you look at it from Sunday school to public school, most never think for themselves. They never thought for themselves. From Sunday school to public school, they're given something. And they embrace that. They digest that, the concept that is given to them. And so I saw it. I said, man, I got to call this pro-death, because the very things that people are protesting about today are literally being put to death. Now you have this cancellation of DEI. Well, in one of the picket signs, you'll see "Death to Black America," "Death to the ballot." A lot of people don't believe in the ballot right now, and many will continue to not value the ballot. And there's a person holding a sign saying "Death to the ballot." There's another sign saying "Death to immigration." So it is over. I mean, this is. Um, a man told me years ago, if you know that outcome, you know the journey. So when you know the outcome, you know the journey. So this journey um, is leading to communism, um, absolute control, and the writing has been on the wall. Um, the American people have inflated their balloons. Some are high, and those balloons are bursting right now, as I've said before. Um, and the higher your balloon determines the impact of your fall. And as I also have said, the American people, they they cast their ballots for this. Um, there's no getting around it. There's no, it's got to get worse before it getting better is not in the forecast. This nation is headed towards total dominance, and that power will not be in the hands of the people. Um, but yeah, that's the piece that I did. Pro death, 2018. I didn't share it until like 2019. I'm not a loud guy. I don't aim to be popular, but apparently I wasn't loud enough or popular because even when I shared it in 2019, early 2019, I only got like one like, and I think that was me. And so that's 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 the world, though. I mean, people like what they like. Um, they have itching ears. They have the lust of the eyes, and that has put the American people in the position that they're in. They love to see who's popular, and their itching ears. Who's the loudest. And so yeah, it's sealed. Fate is sealed. Yeah, fate is sealed.